G-Tech Community Stadium, West London. Saturday, August 22nd, 2026. Kickoff at 5:30 p.m. For Roberto De Zerbi, this was supposed to be the real start of his project, not the audition, not the 7-match rescue job he was parachuted into back in March. This was his squad, his signings, his first full season from match day 1. It took 12 minutes for the first crack to show. The build-up. Tottenham spent this summer like a club, trying to erase a memory. Daniel Levy walked away in September after 24 years running the club with a famously tight fist. In behind him came Chief Executive Vinay Venkatesham and Sporting Director Johan Long, and together they backed De Zerbi with a transfer window that tore up the old ideology completely. A club record £85 million for Mateus Fernandes, £100 million to Newcastle for Sandro Tonali, £52 million to Brighton for centre-back Jan-Paul van Hecke. Free transfers for Andy Robertson and Marcos Senesi layered on top. Added up, and Tottenham had already committed £237 million before a ball was kicked this season. Then, one day before this match, they went again. Spurs agreed a deal with Manchester City for winger Savinho, £75 million up front plus £10 million in add-ons, $5 million of which is effectively guaranteed, so City are set to bank at least £80 million. It's a club record sale for City, and it pushed Tottenham's summer spend past £300 million with Omar Marmoush still being negotiated on top of that. Mickey van de Ven, still only in his mid-20s, had already been named the club's new captain. De Zerbi had been talking openly about Champions League football as the new baseline, not some distant ambition. This was supposed to be the day the rebuild announced itself to the rest of the league. Instead, Brentford needed 5 minutes to make it look ordinary and about an hour to make it look easy. The team De Zerbi actually had out there. Before we even get to the goals, it's worth sitting with the 11 De Zerbi was forced to send out, because it explains a lot of what went wrong. His brand new captain, Van de Ven, hadn't played a single minute of preseason and was ruled out on the Friday before kickoff. Vice-captain Pedro Porro was still being managed back from a World Cup campaign with Spain and got left out too. Pape Sarr was nursing a hamstring issue. James Maddison and Dominic Solanke were both on careful minutes. So the armband went to 19-year-old Archie Gray, part of a new 5-man leadership group alongside Van de Ven, Porro, Ben Davies, and himself. And 4 of the summer's headline signings, Robertson, Senesi, Van Hecke, and Tonali, were all handed their first competitive minutes together on the same afternoon against a Brentford side that had spent the whole summer working as a unit. Antonin Kinski, signed from Slavia Prague back in January, was already established as the long-term number 1. Everyone else around him was still finding their feet, and Savinho, still fresh off his medical, wasn't anywhere near ready to feature. There's a smaller irony sitting underneath this fixture too. Brentford's manager, Keith Andrews, only got the job because his predecessor, Thomas Frank, left for Tottenham last year. Frank didn't last the season. He was gone by the time Igor Tudor took interim charge, and De Zerbi was appointed off the back of that instability in March. So the man in the away dugout was managing the very club whose old vacancy created his own promotion. Brentford, true to form, went internal rather than chase a name, and Andrews' first competitive match in permanent charge produced arguably the most complete team performance of the entire opening weekend. How it actually happened. Keane Lewis Potter opened the scoring in the 12th minute, and the move that built it told its own story. Man of the match Mamadou Sangare, Brentford's own club record signing, played a sharp 1-2 with Dango Ouattara before slipping the ball through for Lewis Potter to finish from close range. It wasn't a fluke. Brentford had already forced Robertson into heading Matthias Jensen's free kick over his own bar, and Igor Thiago had a header crash back off the crossbar moments before the opener, only ruled out for offside in the build-up. The second goal, in the 32nd minute, is the one that should really worry Spurs fans, because of exactly how it happened. Jensen shimmied straight past Lucas Bergvall in central midfield before firing a shot that Kinski could only parry into the path of Vitaly Janelt, who finished from close range. Tottenham hadn't managed a single shot on target in the entire first half. 4 minutes into the second, Sangare drove another effort at goal that Spurs failed to deal with, and Michael Coyote arrived to slam home the rebound. Igor Thiago somehow found a way to make his own afternoon worse, 10 minutes later, missing a 55th-minute penalty, one when Rodrigo Bentancur fouled Kevin Schade, by clipping the post when a fourth goal was sitting right there for the taking. Mateus Fernandes and Bentancur both came on at halftime for Gallagher and Bergvall, and 19-year-old Mikey Moore had 2 chances of his own go unconverted. By full-time, Brentford had racked up 3.96 expected goals to Tottenham's 0.47, as one-sided as an opening day scoreline gets. What De Zerbi actually said: managers usually protect their players after a result like this. Vague language, collective blame. Save the specifics for the training ground. De Zerbi didn't play that game. Speaking to Match of the Day, he was blunt. Bad game.
No, because I believe in my players. I don't know. Was a game, especially in the first half, in one direction.
Then he went further than most coaches would risk on the record.
And today, Archie Gray, JP Van Eyck, Senesi, and Robertson, 4 new players. 2 midfielder, Rodrigo Bentancur and Palinha. Today, 2 midfielder, Berval. Why not Bentancur? Because he came.
I am surprised by the result and performance, he said. I knew we were not in the right condition. We can't find an excuse. Talking to Football London a few days later, he reframed it as patience rather than panic. We need time, but I think we are much better than we showed today. But the rawest line came pitchside, picked up by Haters TV, where he admitted he was suffering and said simply, "They deserved to win, and we played very, very bad." Archie Gray didn't hide from it either, after being subbed off in the 86th minute. For some reason on days in football, a team can outfight another team. It's on us, and the fans have been incredible, he said. I don't think there's any excuses, to be honest. We've got work to do. You saw that performance. Why this matters more than one bad Saturday. Go back to March. De Zerbi didn't walk into a stable club. He walked into a team 1 point above the relegation zone, without a Premier League win anywhere in the calendar year, replacing Tudor after just 44 days in interim charge, a managerial merry-go-round that had already burned through Postecoglou and Frank inside 2 seasons. He kept Tottenham up on the final day, against Everton, on a goal from João Palhinha that arguably saved the entire summer that followed. No survival that day, no £300 million rebuild, no green light from ownership to spend like this at all. Which is what makes Saturday land so strangely. The exact problems De Zerbi flagged: duels lost, physical unreadiness, a team not yet cohesive under pressure, are almost word for word the same issues that had Tottenham fighting for their lives last spring. Different names on the team sheet, much bigger price tags attached to those names. Same symptoms. Bergvall got dribbled past in central midfield the way Spurs' engine room got bullied all last season. The new defensive signings looked undercooked in exactly the way last year's backline looked undercooked when Tudor was scrambling for a system that worked. Spending £300 million doesn't automatically buy conditioning, cohesion, or fight. And this result was about as clear a reminder of that as English football produces this early in a season. To be fair to Brentford, this wasn't some backs-to-the-wall smash and grab. They finished 9th last season, missing European qualification only on goal difference, and their attacking numbers were never a fluke. 55 goals from nearly 60 expected goals tells you that. Andrew's side had also just put 7 past Eintracht Frankfurt in preseason, and it showed from the first whistle. Sangare, brand new to the club himself, comprehensively outplayed a £100 million midfielder in Tonali on his full debut. This was a team that had done its preseason groundwork, turning up against a team that, by its own manager's admission, hadn't. So where does that leave the new Tottenham? Not in crisis. One round of fixtures rarely means that. De Zerbi has already turned his attention to Wednesday's League Cup tie against Charlton Athletic as an early chance to reset, and the transfer window is still open, with Savinho set to add fresh legs to the squad once he's up to speed and talks over Marmoush still live. But the uncomfortable truth underneath the result is this. The money changed the names on the team sheet. It hasn't changed the team yet. Whether De Zerbi can close that gap before the fixtures pile up, or whether Tottenham are simply financing a more expensive version of last season's exact same problems, is the question this opening weekend was supposed to start answering, and instead only made louder. There's a reason this result cut through more than a normal Week 1 defeat. Mid-table sides losing openers barely make headlines. A club that broke its transfer record twice in one summer hired a manager known for building pressing, possession-based teams, and installed a whole new leadership group getting outworked by a ninth-place London rival. That's a different kind of story, the kind replayed on every highlights show all week. It's exactly why the new Tottenham framing cuts both ways. New enough to be unrecognizable in personnel, not yet new enough to avoid the same afternoon that's haunted this club for 2 years running. That's where we'll leave it for now. But this story is nowhere close to finished. If you want the next chapter, how Spurs respond against Charlton, and what happens once Savinho's actually match fit and Marmoush is in the building, subscribe to Football Detailing so you don't miss it. Drop your own read on this Tottenham side in the comments below.